Well, dang, son, where'd you find this? You know, bugs are nothing new to PC gaming. We've seen some crazy ones over the last 10 years, and Total War is no exception, but we've got a doozy today, and we're gonna break it down into chunks because it is a multifaceted problem. Now, I wasn't the one who initially found this bug. I'm honestly not sure who found it in the first place, but I do want to bring attention to it because it is pretty nasty. It's been around since the Shadow and the Blade patch in December, but there are still a lot of people who don't know about it, and if you've been playing Warhammer 2, there's a very good chance it has affected you quite dramatically. Okay, so the crux of it is this. Unit experience in battle is bugged right now, and it is bugged hard. The most eye-popping element of this problem is Exhibit A on your screen right now. Essentially, anytime a unit earns a chevron of experience during battle, any combat buffs or malices that were present at the time of leveling up will become a part of that unit's base stat line. Only the effect will be flipped. So for example, we have a Star Dragon here about to earn his first chevron of experience. Arrayed below him are mages from the Lore of Shadows, Heavens, Beasts, Metal, and a Witch Hunter with Accusation. They are all going to cast their debuffs at the same time, stacking Enfeebling Foe, Curse of the Midnight Wind, Whirling Skies, Curse of Anrahir, Transmutation of Lead, and the Naughty Finger from Saltspire to plummet my Star Dragon's melee attack and melee defense to 0-0. Not very fun. Means my Sky Lizard's about to be as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop. He's going to unleash his breath attack and push him over the XP threshold to earn his first chevron, and immediately the stats go back up to 6155. That's with all those debuffs still active, so we're going to fly away and watch as the Star Dragon becomes a feaster of worlds with a final combat stat line of 157 melee attack, 123 melee defense, and that is permanent until he earns another chevron. Once another chevron is earned in battle, the changes to combat potential will disappear. Now, I don't think I have to explain just how scary that is. 100% of the time, when a unit earns a chevron with an MA or MD buff or debuff active, that MA or MD buff or debuff will become a permanent fixture of their base stats. How terrifying it is that a Star Dragon that got smacked by a simple spell like Word of Pain or Enfeebling Foe, minus 44 melee attack or whatever, can turn around and suddenly have a massive increase to their chance to hit. Doesn't really make sense, but that's what we're working with right now. And yeah, this is a completely inflated example, of course. Obviously, you aren't going to cast 5 single target debuffs on a unit at any given time, but it's not uncommon for 1 or 2 to hit a unit at a single moment in time, and that can completely swing a battle in one way or the other. But this is not the first chevron bug to hit Warhammer 2. A few months back, there was actually a bug where chevrons earned in battle for a single entity would give significantly higher stat boosts than chevrons given to a unit in the lobby pre-battle, which was completely unintentional, obviously. Well, basically how it worked was, at 1 chevron, a Star Dragon would get the same stat boost either way, whether it was earned in battle or given in the lobby, but once you get to a 3rd or 4th chevron, you're talking an extra 4 to 10 melee attack, melee defense, and 6 leadership for the chevron earned in battle over the one in pre-lobby, which is a huge difference in combat potential. It meant that any chevrons earned in battle were massively impactful. Now, that one's already been fixed, but this behemoth has not yet. And even though that's probably the most eye-popping element of this bug, I mean, you're talking a Star Dragon with 150, 130, like that stat line is absolutely absurd, it isn't the most impactful overall, because a similar problem is also affecting Frenzy, Martial Prowess, Martial Mastery, and a host of other passives in the game. So, let's take Frenzy for example. There are a lot of units in Warhammer 2 with the Frenzy passive. We're talking Blood Knights, Rat Ogres, Forsaken, and a bunch of others as well. And Frenzy is a big part of their combat potential. It makes substantially better, it just makes them way better in every facet of killing, because it improves weapon damage, it improves charge bonus, grants immune to psychology so they don't tear a route, and gives +8 melee attack as well. So when a unit with Frenzy drops below 50% of their base leadership, they lose Frenzy, and they lose the corresponding stat boost. Okay, that's fine. But what happens when a unit of Blood Knights earns their first chevron in battle? They're about to tip over the XP threshold, they're going to slam into the back of Swordmasters, and immediately they lose the 8 melee attack from Frenzy. Goes from 40 to 33. But the chevron gave +1 melee attack, so it only goes down by 7. Now what you might notice is that Frenzy is still active on their unit card, and every other element of the passive is still kicking in. The chevron bug has 0 effect on leadership, on weapon damage, on charge bonus, or on immune to psychology. It just affects melee attack and melee defense. But even still, this has a severe impact on Blood Knights especially, because they're the easiest cav unit in the game to keep alive and killing and earning chevrons with, or at least one of them. Lost models don't really matter to them compared to their rivals, like Grail Knights or Chaos Knights, because Invocation of the Heck will bring those models right back, which means Blood Knights frequently make it into the late game and survive longer than pretty much any other cav unit in Mortal Empires, which means they earn chevrons, and often. Even worse, unlike the buff and debuff bug we saw with the Star Dragon, when they earn their second chevron, they do not get their frenzy back, or rather the +8 melee attack does not return. So they are permanently stuck with a severe melee attack debuff for doing well in melee. This happens every single time a frenzied unit earns a chevron in battle. So all of your units in campaign and multiplayer that have frenzy for the last 2 months or so, month and a half, are performing significantly worse than they should be in combat. And guess what? It's not just affecting frenzy. Martial prowess and martial mastery are getting hit with it too, and it might be even worse for them because it's both attack and defense that gets wrecked. Now for your average High Elf Spearman, sure, no big deal. They don't earn chevrons in battle all that often, but for the elites, the Phoenix Guard, the Sword Masters, the Dragon Princes, this is a huge component of their battlefield performance, and they earn chevrons all the damn time. +8 melee attack, +12 melee defense for martial mastery when a unit is above 50% HP. And once they drop below the HP threshold, those stats are gone forever. Unlike Frenzy, you won't get martial prowess back unless you heal, but model loss will often prevent you from recovering the stat increase in the first place. So Dragon Princes charge in there, earn their first chevron, and their stats plummet permanently. Yay! Just like Frenzy units, a second chevron won't bring it back. So even though your Dragon Princes are kicking ass, tearing up the battlefield, and haven't taken any damage, let alone approach the 50% HP threshold where they would normally lose martial mastery, they are getting severely punished and become substantially less tanky and substantially less killy overall. Yikes, not good. But it's not just Frenzy and martial prowess, it's even affecting Rage and Berserk units for the Norskins. Really, any passive in the game that increases attack or defense has been hit by this bug since the Shadow of the Blade DLC dropped. And that means combat potential across the board has been skewed. As you watch these clips, you'll see the +13 melee attack from Berserk and the +5 melee attack from Rage disappear on their stat lines, even though the steroids are still active, which is just crazy. The thing that really doesn't make sense to me about this bug is that only melee attack and melee defense are affected. Leadership is not, even though it's tied to chevrons as well, just like attack and defense are. Leadership is one of the things that gets improved as a unit earns chevrons and experience, so it's super weird that leadership buffs and debuffs don't linger once a chevron is earned. So don't bother trying to abuse this with like Doom and Darkness or other morale bombs via the Winds of Magic. It won't work. It's only if it's MA and MD that get affected. And that's a good thing, honestly. Thankfully, it's not also messing with morale or charge or weapon damage or immunity to terror, because it would be seriously skewing stuff if that were the case. But even just with attack and defense, it's obviously a huge problem. Now remember, with the spell bug we showed at the beginning, the effect is always flipped, and it takes into account passives as well. So Morathi's Enchanting Beauty will have a permanent effect on my Star Dragon here, and it will stack with Enfeebling Foe. So when he comes out of the spell's effect, he's going to be an absolute titan. But if I cast Morona's Time Warp and Hand of Glory to improve my Star Dragon, because he earned a chevron while those spells were active, the effect is flipped there as well, and he gets a super nasty combat malice as soon as the spells wear off. So if a dragon is buffed, when he comes out of the spells, he's going to be nerfed. If he's nerfed, when he comes out of the spells, he's going to be buffed. Star Dragon with 15 melee attack is a big no-no. Can barely scratch Executioner to the stat line like that. Normally, at his base of 60-55, he would be absolutely feasting on them. And this is definitely something you can replicate in a real battle scenario, something you can kind of abuse if you are on top of your game. It's micro-intensive, you have to be paying attention, and it's not super easy to pull off, but if you time your breath attacks or your charges to coincide with a debuff, when you're about to earn a chevron, because you can see their XP bar on your unit card, there's a good shot you'll be getting yourself a tasty combat steroid that you really shouldn't be. But much more likely, all this stuff will be happening passively without you noticing during the battle, and it will still make a huge impact on games. And it really makes you wonder, how many battles have been won or lost because a Hyro Titan or a Shaggoth or a Star Dragon got up to 80 melee defense or 100 melee attack in the heat of a close fight? How many tournament or campaign battles have been hit with this bug over the last month and a half? The answer is quite a lot. Now, Creative Assembly is aware of at least some of these bugs. They have been informed at the very least of the frenzy problem and have acknowledged it and are working to solve it. I am not sure if they know about the spells flipping and becoming a part of a unit stats thing yet. Maybe this video will be the first time they've heard of it. I'm not sure one way or the other. But I did want to draw attention to this because it's really interesting, super weird, and it has, without question, impacted quite a lot of your battles, whether you realized it or not. So, hope you guys enjoyed this look. Hopefully, it will get fixed very soon, and I'll see you all in the next video. Any Pride, signing out for now. Have a good one, guys.